the meeting here for the Village of Cambridge, the Board of Trustees, meeting of June 14th, 2022, to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Breinig.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
Whitwer.
Here.
Hollenbeck. Kumbir.
Yep.
Schaefer Weiss.
Here.
McNally.
Here. Okay, if we can everybody stand or recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. Lisa, status of the posting?
Agenda was posted in the upper and lower levels of the Amundsen Community Center, the Cambridge Post Office, Hometown Bank, and the Badger Bank.
All right, okay. We'll move right on here to public comment. Does anybody care to step forward and speak for 3 minutes?
No, I'll have to go on.
How is everybody? We've seen you like in forever.
If you can introduce yourselves, please.
Brenda Newman, Tinsdale, 716 Pacific. Just a couple things. We're still waiting on somebody to give us the name of the structural engineer that approved the Vulcan Homes. Our attorney's waiting for that name.
We've contacted Vulcan and they said
They won't
that
give
it
us any
was
information.
sent this way, so I'm not sure who to believe anymore.
But we need, our attorney's waiting for a name of the structural engineer that the village approved these houses. There should be a structural engineer's name
But somebody
attached to that.
proposed it also, didn't
I'm
they?
sorry?
Somebody also proposed it.
I have no idea. Our understanding was.
That's sort of the way it works.
Quiet, quiet.
Please.
Can I just
Quiet.
ask a clarifying question? Are you asking for the name of our building inspector?
No.
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 The original designs of the houses were approved by somebody through state, an engineer, a structural engineer of some sort. We don't know who that was.
Through Cambridge.
So, yeah,
No,
it sounds like
the-
they're
the
not
state.
asking for anything that's a village record.
Yeah, that's not a village.
It's not a village record.
Okay,
It's
we were
not.
told that, well, because it's all underneath the listing of inspections that were done.
Okay, all right.
Okay. The other-
Public Works cleanup people, when we did the community cleanup and they did it like the week before, they did a fabulous job. Wanted to say kudos to the Public
Works.
Works people for that.
Okay.
I've been out of commission, so we haven't been here, so anyway, that was great for them.
We did ask for the poopy pickup stations too, but can we get one more put between Kenseth and Vineyard Way, that where the
Where
path
the two
crosses over the
paths
street to go?
Separated by the
Can
street.
we get one more? Just because
Just a trash can.
a trash can or a poopy station, just because our house gets most of the dog poop if it's not done.
So the board would just take that under advisement
Yeah.
now, they wouldn't
They
make any
did 3 of them
recommendation.
already,
Yeah, we
so,
can't
do that. Yeah,
within the
that was
whole
great.
ranks, okay. Since the whole subdivision's done now, does anybody know when the park is going to be built? Because it kind of goes into leads into my next thing.
So again, yeah, we don't want to have a situation where the board is answering your questions.
Okay, which we never seem to get answers, but, the speed limit sign, can we get a speed limit sign put in our subdivision? We have a lot of children, and there are people who drive through there like 30, 40 miles an hour, and children are going to get hit. And, which leads me into the park, because with a park, you have to have a 15 mile an hour speed limit sign adjacent to a park. So if we can get, I'm all for 15, 20 miles an hour, I'm all for that.
Through the entire subdivision, not just by the park. So that was the leading question about the park. When is it gonna start so we can get speed limit signs put up?
Because it comes in adjacent to the park sign, is the speed limit sign is the,
Is that the 3-minute timer? Oh, okay.
sorry, I only made 2 copies. So in conjunction to the speed limit in a park, anywhere in a park perimeter, the street adjacent to it or adjacent to it can only be 15 miles an hour.
So that's
3
3
minutes
minutes.
or, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else that cares to make a public comment at this time? Okay, close that portion of the meeting. We'll move on. Approval of the consent agenda, board minutes of May 24th, June 7th, and the Audit and Finance Committee.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion, any concerns, issues?
Thank you for the revised.
Minutes, Chrissy.
Okay. All righty. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. All right, let's move into reports. I want to make some notes here on three things that have kind of happened here since we last met. Memorial Day Parade. We had a wonderful day of weather. Chuck, I know you were there. I don't know if the other trust, you were there? Okay.
I was there.
Okay, thank you. I talked to law enforcement right before this, and we estimate that there were between 4,000 to 5,000 people at this event. I mean, that is by far the biggest event. Now, it's all weather dependent too. You know, if it was raining that day, I don't know if you would have had half of the floats and a quarter of the people. But it was still a wonderful day. No complications, no problems, and that was a concern of mine because of what happened in Waukesha. I am going to be talking, just expressing gratitude for Lions Club for hosting that, and I thought it was a good foot forward. Concerts in the Square. They started 2 weeks ago, and their first one up, what was it, Trophy Husbands. And a good band. I think there were over 700 people there. And so, again, the weather was good. It was just a little bit chilly, but a lot of people turned out for that, and no problems, and so that's always wonderful to see. And then lastly, we are making, Chris and I serve on the Blue Jay Way. We are making headway, nothing else on it. We're waiting to hear back from the town of Oakland, and we'll share that with you as soon as we have it. But they have received our information. They've been cordial to this point, so hopefully we will continue on. Any questions? All right, move on. Library Board. Chris.
Well, we've had two meetings. The one that we most recently had was to talk about more of the director's job description changes to add in mental health demands of the job, and as well as managing others, and some language changing. There's a CD that's due to expire, well, in June, so I know that that's been discussed
It
with
was
Joan.
switched over to the checking account.
Yeah, right, until we can
Yeah.
figure out what to do with that. And we're going through, starting to talk about the budget a little bit. But mostly it's just focused on this new director. There's a lot that goes into it.
Sounds like business as usual. Everything's been good. All right, Joint Review Board. Chris.
Joint Review Board, we met. Lisa facilitated the meeting until we picked a chair. I was picked as chair. We discussed our TIF plan. That'll be further on in this agenda, I believe,
2 weeks.
or in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And what else am I missing? What-
Set the dates for future.
Future one, October,
October is the annual
right.
TID review. That's required by statute, and July 12th, we will be meeting to follow up on the village board's actions on
Yep.
the proposed TIF at our next meeting.
All right.
This was fairly uneventful, but Lisa was very helpful. I took the meeting on my phone on the side of the road because I was stuck in Lake Mills because of the storm.
Okay. All right.
But we had a quorum.
Yes. Okay, thanks, Chris. Move on, Plan Commission. Eric.
We met last night. Scott Farms will be discussed later. The other item was the Joint Review Board's bid number 6. We held our public
Hearing.
hearing, requesting public comment, and there was none. So that will be coming to us later on, 2 weeks.
All right, okay. Joint law enforcement, I know there was, Ted, you were there, Chris, you were there, Lisa, you were kind of heading it up because there wasn't a chairperson yet.
Yep. Main topic of discussion was the vehicle. We are about a year behind in receiving one replacement vehicle. We are expecting it within the next 2 months. So then there was discussion on the next one, which would be due in 2023. If we need it yet, the second vehicle has, our newest one right now, has about 50,000 miles on it. So we could wait until 2024, but with the backlog and the delays that there have been in receiving vehicles, the committee did vote to put in for the new vehicle for 2023, knowing that we probably wouldn't receive it until late 2023 or into 2024. We won't start paying on the depreciation of that vehicle until it is in service. So they did approve putting in for it in 2023.
Okay. Any questions for Lisa? Ted, Chris, you have anything to add for the meeting?
No, I think
That was a good
the only
synopsis.
thing that I saw is that just paying depreciation, we're not responsible for that much for, it's an $80,000 vehicle,
Yeah,
and we pay approximately $1,000 a month, or,
$8,000 a year
yeah, $8,000 a year,
or so for the vehicle itself.
divided by 2 also.
No,
right? Oh, is it?
16 total,
Oh, okay.
8,000
All
for
right.
us, yeah.
There's been an uptick, it was also reported there's been an uptick in juvenile issues in both Deerfield and Cambridge. And they're spearheading that by, what was the statement made? I said mentoring, they said direct something around.
Yeah, there've been issues, so they're directing their focus to it, being present.
Yeah, just being there and intervening with the juveniles that are giving them some issues, so.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to Todd Lord, Director of Public Works. Todd, you want to come up and introduce yourself, please? And just
Todd Lord, Director of Public Works for Cambridge. Thanks for coming Tuesday and seeing what you guys vote on and see what really goes on there, because there's a lot that goes on there.
You're talking last Tuesday.
Yeah, last Tuesday.
When
And bad news is we had a storm. We're cleaning up. We're about 75% done. Good news is I got a hold, the DNR finally got a hold of me on the ponds out there. And we could possibly get free fish every year. And they're gonna fill me with the information on this, so that could be stocked for free.
Wow.
So, every year, so, that way people can fish there and people can be happy. Right now, people are fishing there and they're getting fish that are about this big. So, that means that they're overstocked, and the last time that was stocked was 2011 from the DNR.
Okay.
So it's overfished, needs some work.
What do you think your odds of success on that request or talking with DNR are?
Really good,
Really good.
really
Okay.
good.
I will be there tomorrow night. I could share that with the Lions Club. And I know that,
Yeah, she's supposed to meet with me sometime in July. She wants to go out there and observe and talk to the people that are actually fishing out there and stuff like that too.
good.
Do you have a name of who that is, who she is?
Christie, that's all I know her by is Christie of the DNR in Plymouth, Wisconsin.
I wouldn't make any promises to the Lions Club until it comes to fruition, though.
Yeah. Just.
Well, you could at least let them know that we're working on something to help them out, because, you know, that pond needs, it needs something, you know, and
Cops and bobbers will love that, Chad especially.
people are out there walking their dogs and doing other things there. That's a really nice place out there. I don't know what I haven't seen the back end since they ripped apart the 20-foot of shoreline there. So I don't know how the path is back there right now.
There is none.
I haven't had it, there isn't a path back there? Well, that's something,
Bulldozer, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty bad.
Who did that? Who ripped up the shoreline?
Sun Prairie,
Oh, that.
big
Prairie sewage.
water flow and all
Yeah,
that.
I
yeah,
heard
they
about
have to
that.
open it up because their flow is becoming more, you know, the residents, they're filling up out there in Sun Prairie.
Did I hear that you were gonna try to chip up any of the brush that's out there that was left from that?
I don't know if they're responsible for that or if we're responsible for that. That's a good question.
Okay.
It's a good question. Like I said, I don't even know, is there the path, there's no path walking to the back there?
Get to it?
To
There's-
get to it, but not to be able to walk that
Yeah, you
back
can't walk
path?
the-
Okay, I haven't been back that far yet, so,
You can, I mean, you walk through it, but it's not a very enjoyable walk.
There
It's not
you
like
go.
it used to be, that's for sure.
and there you go.
Did
And-
you ever, with you and Lisa, did you ever get a hold of the Cambridge Foundation for the building they were?
We
with?
have the funds, so.
I have to get a hold of London,
London
Okay.
Lumber.
and that's on my agenda for tomorrow,
Okay.
actually, so.
All right.
And, what was it, oh, the park, I've cleaned up the park, you said there was something, well, there's weeds everywhere, but that's something I've been doing.
Oh, that was
Somebody
somebody
was,
else, yeah.
so I've cleaned up the park. We're gonna be putting mulch in there pretty soon and stuff like that.
Which park?
But, West Side
West Side.
Park, sorry. The equipment is obsolete, just so you know. It's way too old for what it is. You cannot replace the parts in it anymore. Because the place that had the parts has nothing for that playground or those parts.
Oh.
That one thing is already deleted out of there,
All right.
so.
Okay. Well, it's something to definitely remember when we get to the end of the year and possible foundation requests.
And is there gonna be a park out in the vineyards?
I'm gonna let,
We can't replace pieces.
we'll just hold off on that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
right now.
I'm just curious,
There's-
you know,
there's-
we're mowing it anyway.
Yeah. Thank you. Keep doing it.
Oh, will do.
All right. And then everything else look good here in town? The grass is growing and?
Yeah, the grass is growing crazy and we're trying to keep up with that, but right now we're doing cleanup from yesterday's finale, and it sounds like we might be doing more in the next 24 hours. So,
Okay.
Yep.
we actually saw that storm come in. There was hail that was almost the size of a golf ball
Yeah.
slamming,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
We didn't have any of that though, did we? The golf ball size hail?
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, we did.
I was at Lagoon. I was dropping off in Lagoon because we were working on Lawn Street, and I was pelted. I was just got back into the truck, and all I heard was bam, ba bam, 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 bam. And he should know, he was right in the middle of all that too.
Because ours was just dime size or quarter size.
And
That
the
was all.
wind was unbelievable.
That was.
It didn't damage any leased equipment, did it?
No.
Nice.
I don't care about ours, but the leased stuff.
If it's leased, then we care
No,
about
it
it.
was, that's the funny thing, is it looks like Simonson, it looks like it kind of jumped over after that, and from Simonson through Oakland, they got the brunt of the storm.
Really?
We had a couple big trees down on Simonson, but they were easy to take care of and stuff like that. But
Because I live between the two gas stations in town on Main Street, and lots of, we had hail, but it wasn't really big. I'd say more dime size maybe hail, and then it was very windy, but for a really short time. I was surprised at how short it was, so it just went really quick past my house.
yeah, it like jumped over.
Yep.
It like jumped over
Yeah.
Cambridge and came down on Simonson.
Yep.
Took off.
Yeah.
Took off running down that
So
way.
we were lucky.
It looked pretty
Our
bad.
house was lucky.
I heard you chipping away about 7 this morning for quite a long time.
Little bit earlier. I kind of went out and did a little bit, I consider it an emergency. It is an emergency right now.
It's a long time, I didn't go down to see it. I'm sure there were a lot of.
Like I said, we're still working on it.
All right.
Any news on the flagpole?
What's that?
Any news on the flagpole?
I did get a better bid on the flagpole.
Okay.
22,000, I don't have the number right here, $22,300 versus
How
45,000
tall?
for an 80-foot pole with a free flag, but I don't think we want to have this size flag. It's a 20 by 30. That's a big flag.
Well, I think, wouldn't it be nice to be able to go either way, to a smaller one and at certain times having a larger one?
Well, that I'll have to
There's
work out
certain
with
times
them.
that I'd like to see a larger flag
And I
flying.
still haven't heard from the insurance company.
Have you
And I
sent
sent
them
them the
the
quotes and everything, and I still haven't heard from them. So,
Yeah, reach out to
I'm
them.
just
pretty
saying it's
casual.
another,
He
you
seems
can
to
put
be
another
pretty
snap.
casual.
All it is another snap when you,
But that's fully installed too, for that price.
So
And the
is-
flag is free. The flag is kind of a freebie. You get that
well, you get
20
your
by
flags,
30
you
flag
get your
with it.
flags free anyway.
So,
No, we don't.
but he says that's one that you definitely want to take down in a 20-mile-an-hour wind, because
Yes.
not that it's gonna wreck anything. He said it's because you don't want to wreck the flag,
Oh, yeah.
so.
All right. Any other questions for Todd or concerns?
Thank you, Todd.
All right.
Yep.
Appreciate coming by.
That's a 105-mile-an-hour flagpole.
Well, that'll do okay for now, I guess.
Last us another 100 years.
Could last a couple of years. All righty.
Thanks, Todd.
Who's humming?
It's just a phone that's on vibrate.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, village office updates. Lisa, please.
We have been working with the attorney, the police, Dane County on the ATV, UTV, getting it out to the parties that need to be notified. Dane County has had some questions, so we're working with the county and police on that. Finishing up the liquor licensing, the committee will be meeting next Tuesday for the renewals, July 1st. Election prep for August, absentee ballots will be coming in next week, and those will be starting to go out. Notices need to go out for election. Working with the engineers and Ellers on well number 3, there will be presentation given at Water and Sewer next week on that. The TID 6 preparation, as we mentioned, Plan Commission approved moving it forward to the board last night, so that will be in front of us in 2 weeks. Working with the new building inspector, he has been in kind of working through how things will be working, setting up hours, waiting on them to sign the final contract, finalize the auditor's reports, so they should be sending us the finalized audit soon. We will do a presentation to the board and audit finance when that comes in. Chrissy finalized the ARPA reporting that's required for last year's funding that we received. We'll be receiving the new funding in the near future. June 20th.
Okay. Any questions of Lisa?
Do we have a approximate of what that funding will be?
$80,333.01.
333 and 1 cent?
15 cents.
Oh, 15 cents, I'm sorry.
Who's got the true number?
Probably the
You
guy
said
that signs the
approximate,
check.
but
Our treasurer or somebody that works for the state? What we got? All right.
I'll get it.
80,333 and
And change.
change. Okay.
Less than $1.
All right, any other questions for Lisa? Okay, thank you, Lisa. Moving on to bills. Got a couple different parts here. Which one you want to go with first, your reports or the amount?
That amount.
I'll do bills normal.
That
and
towards
what
your
we
list.
normally do, and then I'll explain the
Okay,
payroll
all right,
summaries.
that's good.
So the first round of bills that went out, $96,302.98.
And then the second round, which was just one bill today, for $229.01, for a grand total of $96,531.99.
All right,
Any question on those bills?
well, let's get a motion
sorry.
here.
I'll make a motion to approve paying the bills in the amount of $96,531.99.
I'll second.
Yeah,
Chuck.
you get the second, I guess, Chris. Okay.
I said Chuck. but-
Oh, okay. Questions and concerns, anything? On any of the amounts that are here? Everybody's good with it?
Loader.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Franklin.
Yes.
Whitmer.
Yes.
Hollenbeck.
Yes.
Kumbir.
Yes.
Schaefer Weiss.
Yes.
Reinig.
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. All right, Chrissy, now if you can explain to us the reports that are included, your memos.
If you want to go through the,
Okay, well, the
Yeah.
second thing, what we've been, I've been here a year, but the last few audits, we've been getting written up basically for not having payroll approved by the board. So with the shortness of staff and we don't have enough, the segregation of duties, we don't have enough people. But what we do is gonna be providing this payroll register report that shows everybody who's on the payroll. It's gonna show their gross, the deductions, and then their net pay. And also with the deductions, it's not all paid by the village, it's what the employees are paying for health, for dental. Like I participate in the flex plan, which is an HSA. It's also for the WRS, my contribution or the employee's contribution. So these are the two payrolls that kind of fell in within this meeting. So that's what we're gonna do because we get paid every 2 weeks. We're gonna provide as close as possible a report like this to the next meeting that we have, or that you have. So the payroll for the June 2nd payroll, the gross was $23,693.26. And then the net pay is $16,853.92. And then, so the payroll that's gonna be this week, June 16th, the gross $22,585.67 with the net pay of $15,922.42.
and I have a memo in the packet. That ding that we get is not uncommon for small municipalities. You only have so many people. So we try doing as many checks and balances as we can. Todd, as the director, checks the guys' sheets. I check all the payroll when they come in. Judy checks them as she's entering them. And I then do review all the reports and so forth before she submits it to the board. She does the state and federal taxes immediately after the retirement. Chrissy does the quarterly reports for the feds and the annual reconciliation. So we try to do it as much as we can. In the past, when payroll fell on board weeks, the checks would be signed at the board meeting. Since that time, we have gone to ACH payments, so we're at the timelines of the bank where payroll doesn't always fall, that they can be approved by the board before they go in. So that's why we are, Audit and Finance asked, we're including these sheets in the packet. On the memo, I have a couple things just to keep in mind when looking at it, that, 3 of us are salaried employees. The guys, one guy is on call every weekend, so they get time and a half for the 3 hours they're on call. Any other times they're called in. That time is dedicated to water and sewer, or if they're called in for a village emergency, it will go to emergency. So it is for coded to what they're working. Vicky and Judy, since we have gone to a contracted cleaner, they're coming in to open the building on the weekends when people are renting. So even though Judy may only work 40 or 20 hours a week, she does get paid overtime for being on call to come and open and close the building. Vicky receives overtime on the weekend, which is what we did for the paid staff when the cleaner, when she would be called in on the weekends to open and close. Mark, as president, the courts, they get paid once a month, so they're only gonna show on one of the forms. Board members are paid quarterly per diem, so every quarter, you're gonna have one payroll that's going to be a lot, not a lot higher, but higher for that one payroll. Last paycheck of the year is always going to include the last quarterly per diem, any vacation payout, sick time payout for anyone over 1,000 hours, if the guys have comp time. So, couple anomalies that, to be aware of. It's not the same every paycheck, but.
Can I just verify who a couple people are?
Mm-hmm.
Greta is library.
Yep.
Wendy is the clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bruce is our other laborer.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, Patricia, Robin are all library.
Yep.
Beverly's library,
Mhm.
and Judy's our office. All right, I know the rest of them then.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Chrissy, Lisa. Let's move on to new business. Discussion and possible action regarding the Town of Oakland right-of-way tree proposal.
I, again, have a memo in here. This came up at our joint meeting with Oakland. As you know, our agreement says that we will maintain roads. There has been a tree down between North and Blue Jay Way on Potters that came during a storm. The guys did go move it off of the road, trimmed it down some so you could see the stop sign. That tree is still there. It's in the wires, needs to come down. At our meeting, there was discussion if the right-of-way is included in the maintenance of the tree, of the street. We tended to say, no, it's not, and they said you can't have a street without a right-of-way. So the right-of-way is your responsibility. They did send Mark a proposal that they would pay up to 50%, maximum of $175 to remove that tree. Our staff had reached out to work with them on removing it, and they didn't respond to Todd. At the meeting, we responded, that we could work together, and they came back and said, no, we don't want to work, but we'll pay $175. Todd did get a quote. It would be $500 just to take down the tree without removing any of the logs or so forth. No debris cleanup. Last night was another huge example of this. If you look on North Street, they got hit the worst. And a lot of those trees were in the right-of-way. We didn't plant them. We were not asked to help clean up, and we didn't clean up on those properties. But if we clean up on the one, would it be expected that we would be doing these on North Street? When Todd and I talked to, we said we would never go and plant trees in the right-of-way for residents in the town of Oakland. But
If they want us to clean the trees up, then we should be able to put curb and gutter on that street.
well, they'd say, go ahead if you're gonna pay for it.
Huh?
They'd say, go ahead if you're gonna pay for it.
Well, the residents would have to
but-
pay for the curb and gutter, but God forbid that
But
won't
we
happen.
can't bill
I know,
residents in
I know,
Oakland
I
for
know,
curb
Lisa.
and gutter. but Jane had a,
Oh,
Yeah.
I've got the agreement here. The scope of the agreement clearly is roadways, and not right-of-ways.
Correct.
You know, those are defined terms, and the agreement uses one but not the other.
but that is what is before the board if we want to accept their offer to pay $175.
But it'll end up costing us more than the $500 because we're gonna have labor in there to remove all the branches and stuff, so. Well, at least we're getting something out of them.
Well, but we're also setting a precedent if we do.
No,
it.
I
I
don't
think
want
it's
to.
a bad precedence to set.
Yeah.
I
But
think
wait,
it should-
let's wait and see.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to make a motion to accept this? Because you only do affirmative motions.
No,
I'll make a motion to accept that we go ahead and we take care of this problem. I'll explain why, but I'll make the motion right now. If anybody wants to make a second.
I'll make a second because then we can have a discussion about it.
Okay. I understand this. This has been going on. And you saw in the reports, if you read it, I mean, whatever town of Oakland and the village of Cambridge, we've had issues for 6 years. And I do sense that they are trying to help us. I got out with Todd Vratney, and he drove me around and showed me some areas that we could have influence in if we ever had people that would be interested in moving in or buying these properties. Regarding the tree, their attitude is there is this right-of-way, and it's part of it. The tree fell on the road. I explained to them that this, I couldn't see that this was going to go on and on and on. But bottom line is, when this discussion on Blue Jay Way came up, they went ahead and got an opinion from the state of Wisconsin. I think it was DOT. And DOT said, it's really Cambridge's deal. However, we're not going to force you. Now, that's
Wait.
Yeah.
What did you just say, Lisa? Is that,
DOT had nothing to do with the annexation.
Right.
It's the,
who was it with the state? Because the
that's
state.
within DOA, right, here, the
Oh, the
annexation.
DOA, okay.
yeah.
So DOA said it was really Cambridge's deal to fix that road, but they weren't.
didn't
no, they
say that
didn't.
directly.
They did not
They
say
did
that,
not
Mark.
say that.
Mark, they didn't say that. So please don't
They
They
misrepresent.
did not say that.
What did they say?
They said it was not against the public interest.
Okay? And they weren't going to force us.
They can't.
It's,
They can't force us to annex.
Or
They will either
to-
say it's either in the public interest or against the public interest. And then they said, we think it's in the public interest, but it's up to you to decide
Okay.
whether you want to
Yeah.
annex the
All
road
right.
or not.
Right. So we think, but we're not going to do anything about it. And that's where things left.
that's a totally different, that's annexing the road.
We're talking about the
Yeah.
tree,
I
and
know,
what was
I know.
discussed in our conversation on Blue Jay Way, from my recollection, was we thought, my proposal was that we would have our public works work with their public works and trying to mend these fences between Oakland and who does what. For a guy that worries a lot about optics, Mark, we thought that would be a really good optic, having both Public Works from Cambridge working with Public Works from Oakland. That's where I thought the conversation ended.
And that was
And
for
now
Blue
we
Jay
see
Way?
this. No, we're
Well,
talking about the
the
tree removal.
The tree.
I know that, but,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
that was during the Blue Jay Way discussion.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, Mark, where maybe you're going with this is the olive branch approach, which is, but I couldn't be on board with that because what we discussed with Ted Vratney, we got the head shake of approval from him that, that would be a good sign between Oakland and Cambridge working together to remove this tree. If that's not going to happen, now we get this email going back and forth that I'm just reading through right now. That wasn't what was discussed. That's news to me.
And in the email, it
And it doesn't
clearly
even-
says their staff will not work with us to do it, hire
So
somebody
if they're
to
not
do
willing
it,
to work with us in that instance, why would we comply with, we'll pay for what, a quarter of what the cost will be? You know it's going to go up, as Ted stated.
Well, I recall at that meeting when we sat table to table, they said that we would have to work with their staff, but their staff were quite busy.
And ours isn't?
No, I'm not saying that.
They
I'm
play
just
cards
saying
every day.
what they said at the meeting.
Right.
Our staff is very, very busy. We are already working on Potter, or Park, and we don't know if we're going to be able to get at this. Didn't they say that? Okay. So we then left it where we would try to have our folks work with their folks. And Todd,
Perfect recap,
Yeah.
what I just said.
yeah, after that, but they did make that point when they were at the meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And we made
so-
the point that our staff is busy
Our staff
too.
is really busy too.
I get it. But I'm just, you know, we have been dinking around, and I know that this tree is significant. We just worked out something with Blue Jay Way. That's $70,000, $80,000. I'd like to get Blue Jay Way taken care of. I'd like to get this tree. Yes, there's a concern about future trees along North Street.
The trees that are down because of yesterday's storm.
Right.
Right.
Are those our
You're-
responsibility now too?
Well, who's
If-
taking care of those? Because our guys aren't out there.
You have to be careful about setting precedents, Mark.
Yeah,
Who owns North Street?
Good point.
Who owns it?
They do.
Okay, then that's who should take care of it.
Well,
It's pretty cut and
and
dry.
they can come back
yeah.
and they can say who owns, you know,
But shouldn't it be the landowner?
It's not quid pro quo. It's not, if you take care of this tree, then we're going to approve 50% of Blue Jay Way. It's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
and at that meeting, May agreed to 50% of Blue Jay Way. They brought that before us,
Yes.
before we had this
It
tree
wasn't if
discussion.
you do this
Yeah.
tree, then we'll, no, it wasn't anything like that. So we shouldn't fall into that trap.
Is there a chance they would renege on the 50% of Blue Jay Way? If we didn't
They
do
could
this?
based on what the quotes are, and we could based on the
Yeah,
quotes.
so it's not set in stone.
It's still, Blue Jay Way is owned by Town of Oakland.
Yes.
We can't get a grant to do Blue Jay Way because we don't own it.
It doesn't even populate on Elrit.
No.
The roads don't. We couldn't,
Yeah.
We couldn't even get any kind of road aid for it other than what the agreement states.
Yeah,
That road, none of those three roads populate
no.
on Elrit. Todd knows this. So, I know there's a motion and a second and discussion, but this is a little taken aback by that. I thought we made some headway with them.
Yeah, and I didn't think their email back to us was all that nice.
Complimentary?
Friendly?
No, I didn't. I mean, I'm just like, I'm reading through it, and I was just flabbergasted. So,
I agree.
I
read it
appreciate
through.
your clarification of what the verbiage states in the agreement, because I think that's important for the audience to know what that verbiage is. The difference between what was stated in this email and what is saying is, it's clear in the, where was it stated in here? But anyway, I appreciate the clarification of what the agreement states when it comes to right-of-way.
And Ted is correct in his email. If we were to take ownership of those roads,
Yeah.
we would take ownership of the right-of-way.
Yeah.
correct.
Um,
But we don't own the
But
roads.
we don't own it, and maintaining,
And so I would think the best interest for Cambridge as a village would be to ask Oakland to take care of the things that are Oakland's.
I do have one question for Public Works Director. Is there a safety issue on that area? Is there a safety issue for people of Cambridge, where that tree is located? I know we,
People of Cambridge for the people of town of Oakland. That's where the problem is. With that tree laying on that communication line, it's actually gonna take out this communication too. It's not just gonna take out Oakland, it's gonna take out everybody's communication.
All right.
If that tree happens to decide to go ahead and just lay that branch down, it's already laying on top of it. I mean, it's literally pushing it hard.
Okay.
So, and Tree Works said that, you know, there's no electricity involved in there, but it is your communication lines, you know?
But when it comes to the intersection and the stop sign there, I remember when that tree went down, we moved it out of that, so you had the line of sight for the stop sign is fine for traffic, through traffic there?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So you said it's communication, it's not power line. Alliant Energy would trim trees if it was a power line.
If it was a power line, Alliant Energy would take care of
Right.
that, but it's not a power line, and what you would have to do is see if there's some kind of a communication thing where, communication lines would come in and hire somebody to come in and take care of that. I don't know if they would or not. I've never heard of it. I know power lines do it, but I don't know, but there's two huge lines
Yeah.
that tree's laying on right now, and that's a big
It's not just
tree.
that tree, it's several of those trees along that.
Well, the
just
reason
wanted
why
to look.
those trees are laying on that is because that tree is pushing it
Oh.
at them. If you let that go from that branch right there, it will have its freedom and it won't lean up against any other tree.
And these trees these are in the right of way and not on the private property, the farm field there, right?
I'm assuming that those communication lines are
And-
part of this system too, right?
I cannot say that with 100% certainty. They're not our roads. I don't know
Okay.
exactly what the right-of-way, different roads are offset differently, so I can't say 100%. They are either in the right-of-way or a property owned by a landowner in the town of Oakland.
So the tree fell on the street originally?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it fell on the street, and we're responsible for maintaining.
We did move it off the
So we
street
moved it off the street onto the
And
right of way.
trimmed it.
and trimmed it so
Trimmed
you
it.
could see the stop sign.
So I'm just trying to look at it from their perspective. They're thinking, fell onto the street, they're responsible to take care of the street, so that's their deal. They trimmed it, moved it back into the right of way. So I can kind of see where they're coming from. I think, I don't know. I think we should go ahead, since we made some progress with them. I wouldn't want to kind of blow take a couple steps back because of this issue. I think we should move ahead with this deal, but make it clear that this is a one-time thing. We're not going to be taking care of all the trees on North Street. Just in the, to keep things moving forward with them, because, you guys made some good headway in Blue Jay Way. I'd like to see that move forward.
Is there any way, going with that context, Chuck, and board and administrator, is there any way that we can have them meet us halfway with covering half of the price?
I like that.
That could be a counter.
I think that's fair.
That's the counter, I think that's a good.
We got a
counter.
bid for $500 through Tree Works, a local reputable company. The bid was $500.
Plus the cost of labor
Plus-
to remove.
Okay, but then
That does not.
how are
remove
we not
labor.
setting a precedence for every tree that's in the right of way being our responsibility?
By stating that this is a one-time thing. We
I-
help them out
And
with
it's
this
not
one.
500, it's going to be 700 or 800. By
I
the
think
time
what,
Todd
I
gets
think
his
what
work
we
done.
do, I think what we do is we could offer them $250 and they take care of getting rid of the tree. And we're just being nice and we'll give you $250. We don't contact Tree Works, they do. We're just doing a neighborly thing and giving you some money to help get rid of this tree. But I don't think our staff should have to contact anybody to get rid of the tree, because it is not our responsibility. If we want to be neighborly and nice and give them $250, I'd be fine with that. But I would absolutely not, that would be as far as I would go. But it has to be clear, it's their tree, it's in their right of way, it's their responsibility. So,
And over the years, they never wanted to give up their right-of-way for street improvements and stuff like that. We haven't been able to do anything. You remember that. So put it on them.
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second.
the motion, the second is to accept their existing proposal.
Roll call?
Well, I'm just thinking, do we want to rescind it and then make that 500, or do we want to go through it and then bring this back around?
I would say rescind it, because I think, I'm hearing people say too, and I would be in agreement that this would have to be really specified. I mean, I read Bratney's letter back to you. You were extremely cordial, and I don't know, he just seems like he's kind of spoiling for a fight. So I think, but I'd hate to see Blue Jay Way go by the wayside. I mean, you made some major progress there. That's major, and that's something
what,
that
it's
needs
been
to be done.
6-7 years since we made progress with them. I don't want to
Yeah.
see that fall apart.
But it's
I can
two
get on board
separate
for
issues.
half.
Two separate issues.
Right, I know, but
Well,
they're kind of
but-
tied together.
We're trying to decide here, we just withdraw our motion and then make a new motion.
You made the motion, you can rescind it.
All right. You all right with it if I rescind it? Okay, I'm going to rescind my earlier motion. Chuck, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept their offer, but we'll pay half of the quote. We could stick with the quote. I mean, you already gotten 2 or 3 quotes, right, Todd?
Just the one. Just the one.
Tree work?
Remember this, while you're doing that the village staff has to clean that up, okay? That's part of the deal. That's why it's that price, because the village staff has to clean that tree up.
And they won't help us out with that?
Well, Oakland staff can clean it up too.
Well,
They're
Said they-
refusing in this
They're
email.
They said
They
they
will
wouldn't.
not even, I've emailed them countless times to help with
Christ.
that tree. I tried talking to them, I even talked to Chuck. Chuck says, well, I have to go with what, they're telling me to do.
Just don't understand. I just don't understand
I
it.
just let you know that, so you
No,
know
I get-
where that stands.
So this is bigger than just the $250.
How much time would that take? How many man hours?
Man hours, probably 2 guys, probably a couple hours.
But again, if our staff does it, Chuck, we're
Yeah.
going to be setting the precedence
Plus fuel,
that
plus,
we take care of
Plus
stuff in the
equipment
right
and-
of way.
Taking it all.
Their staff should
Dump.
have to take care of it, and we're neighborly because we'd give you some money to help with it. But
All right.
Can I just ask, does Mr. Vratney speak on behalf of their board? I don't see him.
I don't
Or is it
know,
just
and I
his
don't
opinion?
know that their board took any action to present this offer.
He's on their board as a member, but
Yeah.
as far as I know, Gene Kapsner is still the president, and
Yeah.
I think he's speaking on behalf of being on the Blue Jay Way Committee, and this is when it came to fruition. This is when the discussion started on it. So he's speaking as an Oakland representative on that committee.
And I don't know that their board took action to approve extending this offer. I don't know that.
From what I've been told, they did tell the board that they were going to go out and get quotes.
They're getting quotes for
On the
Blue Jay
road,
Way.
yes.
Yeah.
But that's where it is.
That's what was on their
They don't,
agenda.
yeah.
Storm
All
drain.
right. So let me change my motion. We'll make a motion to pay for half of them cutting the tree down, the quote we have, and that they will work together to clean it up.
Put it like that.
They should, because that's as fair as it gets for them. That's a fair deal. I mean,
I will second that motion.
So discussion, I would just want there to be some sort of clarification that we're doing this to be neighborly.
Yep.
We are not in any way, shape, or form accepting responsibility of trees in the right of way.
Right.
right.
So how do we state that and make that offer?
We state it by doing what you recommended before. We swap it. We switch it back to them, saying, you guys go out, you get the bids,
Or you decide how you want to take care of it.
and we're going to be neighborly with you because we made a lot of progress with our engagement with Blue Jay Way, and whatever your Tree Works representative is or your contractor is, whatever that quote is, let us know, and we will pay half.
They'll pay half up to $1,000.
Fair enough.
Because
Doris?
where are taxes paid? They're paid to the town of Oakland, right? For the most part.
Yeah, and that parcel.
Yeah, so town of Oakland's responsible.
Again, I'm going off of this from a little bit of the being on Public Works.
I know.
And Lisa is spot on with saying, as soon as somebody sees us put brush or tree limbs or something on one of those roads, they get called. Endless calls. Well, they picked up our neighbors, they picked up this, why aren't we picking up?
Todd
And
has been questioned picking up today. Are you picking up ours? No,
That's-
you're not in the village.
That's hours of, not just man hours from our Public Works, but they're fielding calls all day long. Why, you picked up for Mary Jo down the road here and on Potter's, why didn't you pick up for ours? We're right down the road. Well, sorry, you're town of Oakland. And sometimes that answer doesn't work. And they get to hear it over and over. So it's not just man hours for Public Works, which is the grunt hours. It's the chainsaw and everything. It's also administrative too. So we really need to think about this when we're talking about precedents and what we want to sign off on, because it's important. Because once we do this, then that's going to be the expectation moving forward.
So do you want to amend your motion?
No.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Hold on. Let's clarify. The motion in the second is to,
I have Chuck Franklin made the motion to pay half of the quote and work together to clean it up. And it's seconded by Chris Schaefer-Weiss.
Half of our quote.
Half of our quote. for
Half
tree
of our
limbs.
quote,
Yes.
which is at $500.
200, so 250.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, no $1,000, just go right there.
Yep.
Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Whitmer,
No.
Hollenbeck,
no.
Kumbier,
No, because I don't think they'll pay the 250 anyway, so.
Schaefer-Weiss,
Yes.
Reinet,
No.
Franklin,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes.
So it fails on a 4-3.
Paula, would you like to make a motion?
I would make a motion to offer to Town of Oakland, in the spirit of being a good neighbor, to pay for part of the removal of the tree per their, however they want to remove it, up to $1,000.
I'll second that.
And no help, no labor?
Is there any
No,
labor?
no labor, no help.
Okay.
I mean, if they want to come and ask us for that, I mean, that might be a separate item that we could discuss, but I don't want to include it as part of the motion. They need to determine how they need to get rid of their tree.
If we don't, we're going to clean up all the trees in Oakland.
And the reason I'm going $1,000 is if their staff is so busy and they want to hire the whole thing out, I'm willing to go a little bit more money to help hire the whole thing out because their staff is so busy.
But I think it's important that we specify that we are only willing to pay for half of that. Up to.
Right, half of it up to $1,000.
Right.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Hollenbeck,
Yes?
Kumbier,
Yes.
Schaefer-Weiss,
Yes.
Reinet,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Whitmer,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Okay. All righty. Moving on to Scott Farms.
Sorry, we put this before you guys did realize it took that long.
Had a good conversation.
Well, we probably didn't realize it would take that long either. So-
Got a lot of trees out there?
Are they on your property or ours?
They're gonna get cut down.
Eric, if you want to give a synopsis of Plan Commission and we can turn it over.
Sure.
or-
These fine gentlemen were here last night to discuss the Scott Farms. There were 3 different items that we talked about, which are the 3 items that are here. So the preliminary plat, the final plat, engineering plans. Is that good enough?
Yep.
We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, and the motions were made to approve all
Yes.
of those with just a couple, knowing we'd be working on the developers agreement, a financial surety, final sign off from the DNR on the environmental
Yeah,
concerns.
the Plan Commission really had no objections to the plan. It was just more of a concern about once the lots are sold and the homes being built, that you have a good plan in place. It's just that the builders meet that plan and the water goes where it's supposed to. That
And
was
they
the-
follow the drainage plan, correct?
Yep,
Yep.
they have a
I
good
think
plan.
they will.
Yep, and we can turn it over to them.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just for a recap for, obviously, from Plan Commission yesterday, we do kind of an update where we're at right now is we're at 99% complete on the design. We did hear back about the potential wetlands around.
I have a request. Can you just state your name and everything? for
My
the
name is
folks?
Brian Ditchisky. I'm from Rupert Milkie on behalf of the developer, which is Jason
All right,
Forrest.
thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So we made the determination with a wetland delineation on the church that's adjacent that there are no wetlands on that property. That was a concern that was presented based on the lots 1, 2, and 3, which are on the west side. That would back up to the church property. This would have different setbacks from Dane County and the DNR. So the site was cleared for any wetlands. On the church property, there are a couple small wetlands that are on the Scott Farm property that are man-made from 2005 that have, go into different soils, plants. There's different determination factors of what creates a wetland and what doesn't. So those are, from the DNR statute, exempt. So there are no issues with wetlands, no issues with housing, footprints, anything else. We have run a model for the stormwater. The 2 lines for the storm sewer that discharge into the existing regional pond right now have the capacity of 42 cubic feet per second. We are only utilizing in a 100-year storm about 16 cubic feet per second. So the storm sewer is oversized as it should be. I can't promise that if we don't have rain, 16 inches in 24 hours, that nobody has a problem. But the model has been through DNR, it's been through Dane County, and they have done their review, and from what I understand, find it to be satisfactory. We have, for some of the ditches and proposed ditches, they are 4-foot bottoms. They're 3-to-1 slopes. So it's very easy and friendly on the mowing. We have taken into consideration the townhomes on Country Lane that have had some issues, or is it Country Lane?
Country Lane.
Country Lane, that have had some issues with stormwater before, so those have been addressed. The regional pond that is there is sized appropriately for this development. And it would be it'd be 19 homes that would be built. So that's kind of I guess a summary of where we're at right now. Obviously, there's still just a couple formalities with a developer's agreement, a pre-construction meeting. We need to just finalize a couple of small things on the plans. We're still waiting back for the final sign-off from Dane County, and final sign-off with the village engineer as well.
And I will reiterate from last night, our engineers have been nothing but positive in working with them and supportive of the project and the ability to work together. It's been a lot of give and take over the last 3 months. We were going to bring it up at Plan Commission a couple months back, but working together to get all the answers before bringing it forward.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is there any, like out at the Vineyard, we included the requirement of a green space. Is there any green space requirement? Or is there any green space that's included as part of this development?
We don't, in the design, we didn't do any. I think that that's more of a village determination.
Our village ordinances do have language
Do
that
they?
without a green space, there are park fees.
Okay, so we'll just charge the park fees for these areas instead?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Lisa.
Are you guys going to have an architectural committee to review the plans, to meet the covenants before builders start building?
At this point, we're still cleaning up the covenants. They'll be very similar to the previous covenants that we're on. I guess the Wheatland area would be the first, there's maybe 6 or 8 houses over there. So it'll be very similar to that. There's not going to be a homeowners association per se.
Right.
That will review that. There's a phase before that, who's got what to say. I guess it'd be probably a confusing process at that point. So,
Right.
some of the discussion led further yesterday to building inspector having jurisdiction over some grades, and I know it's a process they're
Yeah.
working on right now, so we can.
So some developers that I've worked with, they'll, they have the architectural committee, so before the builder starts building, they'll submit their plans, and they'll also submit a site plan with the top wall elevation, which helps out a lot, because then you guys review that, and just to make sure it's not something crazy that's going to mess with the master site grading plan.
Right.
So it would be helpful for us if you guys could make that a requirement. Just a very basic plot plan or site plan with the top wall elevation for, just to see what they're, just to make sure they're not going to do anything crazy.
Yeah, we can put a proposed top of wall and a proposed, walkout. There's the one to the south, and maybe one in the lot could have potential walkout, or at least 3/4 exposed. So we could create some of those elevations on the plan if desired.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Within the covenants, there'll be roof pitches, there'll be
Right.
masonry, there'll be all those kind of things in the covenants that'll guide the builder for what they need to do.
Right.
But haven't gone so far as to.
Or what about first floor, finished floor elevation? That's another
That's
way
what
of
I'm talking
putting
about, the top of the foundation.
Top of foundation.
Yeah, because I didn't
This-
hear all of it.
Sorry.
Just to get the builder on the right path, so he's not,
Yeah,
doesn't have his plan, or he's got this crazy basement, it's not going to work, and then.
Right.
So that would,
When the builder goes out for inspection of foundation and footing, he knows where the top of that's gonna be, and he
Yeah.
can reference that. It's
Right.
another step that helps your building inspector go, okay, is he within 2 to 3 inches of tolerance of what, is recommended? I think that would be a building inspector thing, is
Right.
that you gotta be within 6 inches. Those are things you guys would have to use your company, your inspection
Right.
firm to guide that process. But we could put recommendations on there. They may have slight variations that
Okay.
we wouldn't have control over.
that would help a lot with the stormwater issue.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
I just wanted to provide, so we did get public comment at Plan Commission. It was sent an email.
I have those to pass on.
Yeah, so the public comment was that they were concerned that this housing unit would be more the higher-end homes and affordable homes, and that there isn't a place for older residents to, move to. So that was the public comment that we got, so she'll pass that out for you guys to see.
right.
Thank you. Plan Commission we didn't necessarily see that was ideal for this particular area for the lots. Nope, I have mine here.
Thank you.
So it's just commenting that our community should have a range of housing options to attract people of different age and incomes. That's just I just wanted to provide that comment. One other comment, you'll notice in the plans that one of the roads is named Chickadee, and Johnson and the Plan Commission, they did not like the idea of changing the name to Whitwer Road, so
Oh, man.
I don't know.
And I explained back when the initial plans for Scott Fields was going in, that was going to connect to the current subdivision, and Chickadee was going to be an extension of that. When this last phase was not done, the village did opt for Johnson Street as a connection, but the original plans.
The original plat that's out there is still labeled Chickadee.
Yeah, so the village
So-
board will have to be doing a resolution that is named Johnson.
Okay.
Just comment on the range of pricing for 2 seconds. You know, what used to be a starter home at 300, houses used to cost 325,000, now they're 425,000 for the house that was same size, same shape things 4 years ago. Costs have kind of, taken everybody by storm, in terms of building, commercial and real estate, residential. So, but there is gonna be a wide range of pricing throughout the subdivision. I think there's going to be stuff in the low 400s, and there's also going to be stuff in the upper 7s, very nice, larger places, that are the second homes type of things, third homes in people's lives. So I could see a $200,000 to $300,000 variance in range of pricing for houses. So hopefully that would
Yeah, but $400,000 isn't an affordable home. I mean, let's be realistic.
That's what it costs. I mean,
I get that's what it costs, that's what it's cost, but, I mean, let's just be realistic that that's not an affordable home, so let's not pretend that it is. And I get where you're at, and I get there are people who are gonna be able to afford the $400,000 and the $600,000 and maybe an $800,000 house, but it's not an affordable house.
Can you, what was the impact to the tax base that you had proposed for this development? How much would that add?
approximately 10 million,
Okay.
Over how many years?
2 to potentially 3 years. We have had discussions with, builders now on a bulk purchase, and also independent purchasers throughout. So I think it might be a mix of some bulk and the rest be individual purchases. Yeah,
Okay.
significant tax base increase.
They can meet the code. They can get a.
Again, don't mean to be a stick in the mud, but we got audience watching there, so if you could state your name too, so
Yep,
people know.
Jason Forrest with Case on Development.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And, sorry, never mind.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, let's take these in order here.
Well, I have one thing. I saw in the email that there were contingencies for approving these. Have those been met, or are we going to approve these with the contingencies?
With
that are
the
gonna happen in future?
contingencies, and
Okay.
those are the 3 coming from Plan Commission yesterday. We do have a meeting next week.
Thursday,
er,
yep.
To start working on the developers agreement. They have all the paperwork into the county to get that approval. The financial surety will be part of the developers agreement. So those were the 3 things that Plan Commission had attached as contingencies with their full approval. And the engineer's full approval with those 3 things.
Okay, so how do we want to move here with this preliminary plot?
So it would be the same motions as yesterday, approval contingent upon those 3. The developers agreement will be coming back before the board for approval once it's complete.
Okay, so start with the first one here. Eric, any ideas what you want to do with the preliminary plan?
I guess that's, sure, yeah. I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of the preliminary plat contingent upon the 3 contingencies that were mentioned before, the other approvals that are required.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
So the preliminary plat is what part? I mean, what's a preliminary plat?
The preliminary plat and the final plat are basically, it's the entire land use of how it's gonna be divided into the lots. It
Okay.
shows where easements are at for Alliant Energy utility easements that are in there. It provides the acreage or the lot size as well, but it's generally your layout, your.
So it's agreeing with the little maps that are included in here?
Yep.
Perfect,
Looks
okay,
like
good.
Like a little CSM.
Yep, okay, all right,
Yeah.
that works for me. And then I just don't know, preliminary and final, doing it both at the same time, we really need both? Okay,
The state requires both of them.
Yeah.
got it,
so.
okay. All
Okay.
right.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor of approval of the preliminary plat, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, let's move on to the final plat.
Make a motion to approve the final plat contingent upon the 3 things as before.
Okay.
Second?
I do have a question. Sorry, I should have asked this before. Your plans include sidewalk,
Yes.
curb and gutter?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
19 lots.
Okay, all those in favor of the final plat, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, now we've got the engineering plans.
I'd make a motion to approve the engineering plans contingent upon the 3 aforementioned things that we need.
Okay?
I'll second.
All right. Any questions?
So I think they have a good, sound, thorough plan. Like Eric kind of alluded to, I'm concerned with the builders, again, not adhering to the master site grading plan. So last night we talked about not really enforcing the grading, but requiring the builders to provide a more thorough site plan, more of a grading plan, in order to get the right-of-way permit. It's just make sure that they have a plan and it sticks to what they already have in place. It's going to work.
I don't recall there was occupancy permits. You had mentioned they
Yeah.
couldn't get their occupancy
Well,
if they didn't.
I think,
Was that more something for legal
yeah.
to?
So I'm going to work with, it's going to be a little bit more simple than
Okay.
that. I don't think we have to really force it, just a requirement, just another requirement.
Okay.
To ensure they have a good plan, just to protect those nice neighbors over on Country Road, so they can't get put out. 'Cause that's my biggest concern, so. And hopefully we're going to get that on the agenda for the Planning Commission. And now I'll be working with Jane and Lisa to get some stuff going based off what I've seen in some other villages of similar size.
Great.
Okay.
I like that plan.
Any other questions?
When it comes to the grading, I don't know if this is exactly where this is, but the backfill that sometimes happens, sometimes there are builders that need to have actual dirt where trees can grow and sometimes it'll kill them, or vegetation, or we were walking in the Vulcan neighborhood. It just seems like there's some grass that was not doing well because of the backfill. And so is there anything in the agreement with regard to that?
There probably is city, I don't know what the right word, if it's, whether it's statute or code, but typical engineering requires whether, a 4 to 6 inch layer of topsoil from the existing site. So that's a typical standard as we construct roads under municipal contracts with engineers, MSA included. That's a requirement.
That is for the lots. Typically for right-of-way, sidewalk, roads, it's a granular backfill. That typically is a DOT. It could be a municipal spec as well. We do specify that, and it's more of a sandy soil to be able to get compaction. But as far as the lots, it could be, existing clay. It could be, obviously the 4 to 6 inches of topsoil. We're disturbing about half of each lot to be able to get some of the grading done. So part of the existing conditions that are out there won't be touched. But the existing fill that would come in for building the road up would be a granular backfill to be able to get compaction.
And clarification, a new subdivision, any new permits would be subject to the new right-of-way permit that we recently instituted.
And I would just want to make sure that whoever's purchasing lots 19, 18, and 8 are aware that anytime curb and gutter is going to have to be replaced, they're responsible for that cost. Because they have a lot
A
of,
lot of curb and gutter.
yeah, a lot of curb and gutter.
Okay,
I think it's important, gentlemen, that you know that the reason why there's a lot of these questions that are being thrown your way is
They're not directed
we
at
as a
you.
board there's a lot of lessons learned that we've learned from our past developments that we are now applying. You're our litmus test of what right looks like.
I know.
So that's the reasoning why there's a lot of questions, because we want to make sure that we've learned from what we stumbled on before, so.
I've always said a good project is one that's not talked about in 2 or 3 years.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So we're hoping that this is it. I've done a number of projects that have been assessments in other municipalities. Residents are unhappy. There's a lot of coordination that goes into it from the engineering side, from the contractor side. We want residents to be happy. We want residents to know that water obviously is our top priority when designing it. You know, the utilities are easy, the road is easy. It's the water, and I know that everybody's got that concern. So we do want to make sure that we are addressing it, and, you know, it'll be done and constructed appropriately.
Thank you.
yes, okay, any other questions? All right, we've got a motion and a second for moving ahead here with the engineering plans. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Gentlemen, we look forward to continuing our
Thank you.
association here.
Good luck.
All righty, let's move on. Discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 2022-04, establishing licenses, permits, and administrative services fee schedule. Lisa?
There's a brief memo in here. The only thing changing on that schedule is a $100 fee to put a banner up above Main Street and $100 to take one down. In the past, we had a tree company. Our equipment doesn't allow us to be putting those up and down over the highway. Someone was helping us in the past who wasn't charging us. They're no longer helping us. The new tree service that is doing that for us is charging $100 to put a banner up, $100 to take it down. It's your call if the village wants to absorb those costs or pass it on to the organizations requesting. Up until now, we've never charged them anything for putting those banners up above Main Street, but the village will be charged $100 to put it up and $100 to
I
take
think
it
that's a
down.
reasonable cost, Lisa, because it's gonna cost more than $100 to put the banner up and more than $100 to
And
take it down.
it's
By the time Todd
advertising
goes and
for
gets the
them,
equipment
so-
and everything else to do it, it's gonna cost.
It's a good deal.
It's advertising, right.
Make them
So I think if they have a banner like that they want to put up, they should be able to absorb that cost.
Yep.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Oh.
So, okay, go ahead. Make a motion.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to change the structure, the fee structure for signage, that we charge $100 for putting the sign up and $100 to take it down.
I'll second. Discussion.
Yeah,
So-
discussion.
So are we also then approving the whole fee structure or just this one thing?
The only thing changed in the fee structure is that one
Okay.
thing.
So how did the fee structure get determined?
This is our current fee structure.
Okay, so if we wanted to change other things in the current fee structure, how is that done? Can that be done at any time, or does that have to be done at certain times of years, is
No,
my
it can
question?
be done at any
And would that be maybe the licensing committee making a recommendation to make changes in some of these?
Yes, and it depending, certain things, the operator, or liquor license stuff is determined
Yep.
by state statute. But some things we do have,
Right, I'll bring it up in
Local
licensing,
over.
I'm part of the licensing
Yeah.
committee, so I'll bring it up there then.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, we've got a motion and a second on this proposed resolution 2022-04. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it carries. Let's move on. Item D, the Compliance Maintenance Annual Report, CMAR. Lisa.
This is something we have to do annually by state regulations. So Chrissy and Derek have worked to get all the information inputted. Once we pass a resolution, it's then formally submitted to the state, and we will get our grades. Does it give us tentative grades? We have been A's on both maintenance and on the financial in the past. So this is a mandatory required state report.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-05, resolution of the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Cambridge, Wisconsin, relating to the 2021 Compliance Maintenance Annual Report.
I'll second.
Any discussion necessary?
So the report contains things related to financial and where we are from a financial perspective. And Chrissy, I take it you were fundamental in completing that information?
Yes.
And then the report also includes items related to what kind of equipment we have and what kind of processes we're doing.
And this is for the sewer system.
Yep, for the sewer system specifically. And Derek, I'm assuming signed off on most of those items? Okay. And
that's what you'll see, in item 4, future planning, I added the well number 3
Great.
Treatment facility for the cost of the $5.2 million.
okay.
But that's water.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll
that's-
make that.
yeah, we'll take
change.
that off. That's
Yeah.
not gonna be.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
water, not sewer.
Is scoping of the sewers, is that part of this plan?
That could be, I mean,
Yeah.
in project description, and we just recently had that done.
Yeah, I thought there was
Yeah.
discussion about trying to incorporate that into the,
Yeah.
do you remember that?
Yeah,
Oh, it does say
because they do
manhole.
check it.
It does have what's being done to address infiltration, inflow collection
that's
system,
where-
manhole rehabilitation and televising.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's on, it's 5.4 on one of the pages, 5.4. It's a part page. There you go.
Okay, well, I'll add that one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I didn't know they already televised, which is a quick.
Yep, that will be on water and
Yep,
sewer next
we're
week.
waiting for that report.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in approval, or in favor of approval of this, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, Lisa, you want to talk about the village board meetings and the elections of August 9th and
Yep.
November 8th?
Trustee Hollenbeck looks ahead more than I do. Our meeting on August 9th and November 8th, our election days, the village board falls on that day. So the board will need to decide if they want to meet those days, meet a different day, meet once a month. In the past, sometimes the board has met in the other room. I'm always, especially after 7 o'clock, held up with the elections and closing out the election. Chrissy could staff, but depending what we want to do, November will be a very busy election.
Do we want to make the decision when it comes closer to those
We
dates?
could.
Based on what we have before us? Because if it could be something that was smaller, we know the next agenda is only going to be these 2 items.
Yeah.
And Chrissy can handle it, then let's
Yeah.
go forward with it. If we know
Yeah.
you need to be there, then maybe we choose to do it on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday.
I think we should base it off canvassing the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be
Yeah.
based on what would be on the agenda. If, At least that's what I would think would be the
Yeah.
best. I don't think we can make a blanket decision now for what might happen
Yeah.
in November.
No.
Yeah.
Do we have a requirement as far as how many days' notice we have to give? If we move from 2 meetings a month to
48
one?
hours or something.
We can just do that.
Yeah.
We do it kind of,
We
We
do it
do
in
it in
December all the
December.
time.
But
At the
you know
first
it.
meeting in December, we say there won't be a second.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, I guess we can hold off until July. I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
I would. I would, because I'd like to really see what might be on the agenda, because I think that would dictate
Yeah.
whether.
If there's big projects, if
Yeah.
we need approval for the
And
well.
on
or-
August, it might be easier to do a simultaneous meeting, November might be, yeah.
Yeah.
all right, we don't need a motion to table this then, just,
No.
we'll bring it back around in July.
Thank you for bringing it up so early to us, though, Lisa, I appreciate that.
Okay, item F, discussion and possible action regarding a public works laborer position.
We had put out for the vacant public works labor position. We did not have anyone apply for it. In talking with Todd, wondering if we want to just go out for temporary part-time right now, to help us with mowing and getting through the summer. We can keep the permanent position out there, and if we get applicants, but in the meantime, go out for a part-time.
Can I make a motion as such?
Mhm.
I would like to make a motion that we continue to advertise for the full-time position, or for the permanent position, but in the meantime, pursue getting part-time help for our public works, particularly over the summer months.
I would second that.
Okay,
I think, yeah, having somebody else to do the simple things like mow the lawns and, I shouldn't say simple, nothing's ever simple, straightforward. The straightforward things of mowing the lawns would be definitely helpful for our staff.
all right, we got a motion, a second. Is there any discussion necessary?
what's the price point on part-time help?
I don't know if we want to keep the same wages, knowing they're not getting benefits that we had.
We would have been paying it anyway.
Yeah. And I believe we had, what did we have down?
Hey, Mark, Todd has something to say.
Fort Atkinson has part-time mowers, and they pay them like between $12 and $15 an hour, depending on their experience.
So,
There's no benefits that go with that. It's just
Oh,
part-time
that's, more
seasonal
of
help.
so would you want to hire 1 or 2 part-time seasonal help not to exceed the hourly wage of the current posted wage?
I would say one would be.
One, you think it's going to be enough for you? Okay.
Then we start running out of equipment.
Then-
there's one another.
So you want to keep this
Then,
going?
I was going to say, then I would just say, I don't know, do I want to add to the motion, that we allow staff to determine wage not to exceed the currently posted,
Position.
yeah.
Perfect.
And you guys just determine what's appropriate based on experience and what you're going to have them do.
Right.
You're right with
Be
that?
mowing and
Yeah.
things like that. I consider it easy tasks. You know.
Straightforward.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It carries. Opposed? It wasn't money, but maybe it is, but we're okay?
It's not, we're
It's
not
not money
spending
yet.
money right now.
Posting the position.
Okay.
Same
All right.
interviewing
It's a
process,
position.
Lisa?
Hmm?
Same interviewing process, or just the Public Works?
Yeah.
decide?
Yeah,
All right.
especially for
Okay.
position.
All right, thank you, Todd. Unfinished business, Fire Commission update. Moving on, there's just 2 things I want to note here. There's a staff appreciation gathering party. It's on the evening of June 23rd out at the Dancing Goat. There could be a number of us there as far as commissioners. We will not be talking about any business, but we did want to put people on notice. There is an official meeting on June 30th, and I believe that will be held out at the town of Christiana. So if you want to attend.
Do we have a
that's-
time?
I believe it's 6:30.
Okay.
So I didn't see it, but I can confirm, but I'm pretty sure it's 6:30. Okay, correspondence, Cap and the bicycle.
I have a question back on the fire commission. Where do they post their agendas?
I don't know everywhere they post. We do get a copy and we post it on the front door here, our copy. I'm not sure
I'm
where
sure
the
Oakland
rest
would do the
are.
same thing.
Yeah, I haven't, I can ask them if,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Um,
Now that the dynamic from Gene to Mark has changed from Oakland to Christiana, I don't know if their postings are going to be uniform as
yeah.
before.
I believe he sends it to all the clerks to post.
Okay.
And then when they do that, do you guys like scan it and then put it up on our website?
We do not.
If our website was up, would
Yeah.
would you?
We typically, in the past, we haven't posted on the website the fire commissions. We just post it, physically post it.
Okay.
We could, but
I think I would like to see that moving forward, having it posted online, because I know when I need to see something, because quite frankly, most of the places where it's well, I suppose I could at night, after hours, come and stand outside the door and read it outside the door. It's just nice doing it from the comfort of my living room.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay. All right, going to move on to correspondence, Cap and the bicycle ride. I believe the materials are included here.
we received a copy of this, but Todd and I were looking at it. It doesn't look like it goes actually in the village anywhere it is.
Closest it goes, I think, is Park Road, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I was looking at it too,
Yeah.
going, where is it in the village? And I couldn't
It-
actually see it in the
It
village
has
either.
been shared with Public Works and the
Yep.
law enforcement.
Okay. All right, let's move on to meetings. June 20th, we've got Economic Development, Licensing Committee on June 21st, Water and Sewer as well, Board of Review on June 22nd, and the 28th is our next Village Board of Trustees meeting. Questions, referrals to staff, future agenda items. One we've been talking about of late here, is the proposed TID number 6 that comes up. And then I thought I would invite in Chief Paul Blount of the EMS to talk about what is happening with our EMS services.
Okay.
And I'll be doing the same thing with Terry, with the fire department as well, just to get a 5-minute update. You know, it's a big expense at the end of the year, and see where they're at. Anybody have any other items for future agenda?
I did get a quote this week from Mark Roffers, who helped us on the solar panels to update our smart growth plan, so I'll be bringing that before the board.
Okay. All right, number 13,